Here we go. It is Tuesday, May 16th, and I have kids who are testing and kids who are not testing. Both of you need to take a look at the agenda on today. So let's get to the calendar and take a look at today's agenda. It's 16th. Here it says that we only have our 8:30 and our 2 p.m. Zooms, but you can always text me with questions. I apologize yesterday, you guys. I was told that when we did the test, I would be able to talk to you and I was going to explain things to you, but I wasn't able to talk to you. In fact, some of you I couldn't communicate with at all. Others I could text you. Some of you I could see your screens. Some of you I couldn't. So surprise, state testing. Non-testers are going to work independently on the agenda. No book clubs or specials. For kids who are not testing, you have an extra assignment to do the Science Mod 13 lessons 1 and 2 this week. We're still working on lesson 1. You have the quiz today. Everybody else, when you finish your testing, you're going to go on and take a look at what's on the schedule. So you have math 1303. Make sure you've done the quiz on that one today. You're supposed to do the lesson yesterday. And then language arts, you're still working on yesterday's lesson, which was 1203. The lesson in language arts from yesterday is due on Friday, and it is the 13. Where is it? I thought it was 1203. How come it says 1203, but it says scientific? Oh yeah, that is it. Okay, so this is it. This is your rough draft or your document that you're working on, your essay is what's due this week. They call it the graphic organizer. So by the end of this week, you should have planned your essay. I showed the kids mine yesterday. It's just the document where I'm planning, like, this is what my first body paragraph is about. This is what my second one is. This is my third one. Here's my hook. Here's my title. Here's my topic. So by Friday, you need to turn something into me telling me what you're writing about on your essay about your memorial. Now, that being said, those of you who are testing today and who are starting the PT. So if you're starting to do the PT, that's the performance task. In language arts, that's writing an essay. If you are writing an essay today, and here's the thing, here's how I coach my kids to write their essay on the state test. The first time you log on, so this morning at 10 o'clock when you log on, you will get your topic. So you'll have to answer some questions, you'll read an article, and then it will tell you your topic. Your topic will be one of 3 kinds of writing. It will either ask you to write a story, which means with a beginning, a middle, and an end, with a heart of the story, like a story mountain, or it will ask you to write a 5-paragraph essay. It's not going to say 5-paragraph essay. You're going to have to be able to figure that out. If it says write an opinion-based essay on why you think kids should be able to set their own bedtimes, then you know it's a 5-paragraph essay. The third kind of writing it might ask you to write is something informative. Teach a class or write an essay explaining how the water cycle works. So in that case, it might not be a 5-paragraph essay. It might be a topic-based essay with different technical text information. So you might introduce the topic, talk about the body parts, talk about this, talk about that. If it was the water cycle, you might talk about each phase of the water cycle, and it might end up being like a 7-paragraph essay. So what I always say for the kids to do is to go on there, do the first part, get your prompt where it tells you what you're going to write about, and stop the test. And actually, I tell them to go to a piece of paper and write the topic down so that you can look at it and think about it for a while. Think about what you want to write and how you want to write it. Make sure you understand your prompt. So today you might only be on there for 20 minutes. And then come back on this afternoon and plan your essay or your story. And that's all you do is plan it. And then, because you can go back and visit the essay. It's not like the other ones where it shuts you out. In fact, you can take notes on there, or you can take notes on paper at home. And then the third time you log in tomorrow, do a rough draft of the essay, write it as much as you can. The fourth time you log on tomorrow afternoon, edit and revise the essay. It should take you 4 sessions to write this essay. If you write it in 1 session, then you still have to write the memorial essay for class because you obviously didn't put that much time and effort into the essay for the test. If you write it in 2 sessions, you still have to write the essay for the class. Is this making sense? But if you take 3 sessions and you've really worked hard on this essay for the state test, I'm probably going to forgive the other essay and not make you write the essay for this module. Okay. If you want to write it, you can, but if you don't want to write it and you've spent 3 to 4 sessions on the state test essay and really written a lot and tried hard on it, then I'm not going to make you write the second essay. Okay. But if you finish in 1 or 2 sessions, you're still writing the essay for the mod. Do I have a question on that? I know that's confusing. Okay. So what I want to make sure you understand that I don't want to discourage you from putting effort into the state test essay. If you want to decide that that's what you're putting your effort into this month, and you put in 10 hours on the state test essay, like maybe you put in an hour this morning and then you go work on it at home for an hour, and then you put on an hour this afternoon, you work on it at home for a couple of hours. You put in an hour tomorrow morning, you work on it at home for a couple of hours. By the end of tomorrow afternoon, you're going to have worked on it for like 8 or 10 hours. If you need more time, you absolutely can keep going on the essay for a few more days. Because of that, I want to show you guys the testing schedule. I know those of you who aren't testing, this is confusing for, but I want to make sure these guys understand it. So if you go to and if you didn't test yesterday, I don't know if Christian's on here. Is he on here? I need to chat with Christian because he didn't get onto the test yesterday. If you go to our homepage and you click on the little homepage, the very first page that comes up is the state testing. It has information on how to log on. All of you made it on yesterday, except for 2 people. Javen's out of town. He's not back till Thursday, and Christian. So Christian, stay on here if you're on here because I need to talk to you. Here's the state testing schedule, and Amadi asked which link to use. And I know that can be really confusing, but if you see yesterday, we started with the ELA CAT. All of you but 5 finished that. So the only 5 people who need to use this session today are Anna, Bree, Lauren, Christian, and Javen. You guys are going to start by finishing the test you started yesterday. When you're done, you'll log out, log back in to this testing session. Everybody else, you're doing the performance task today. So that's OR FA13 43T. Let me see if it'll let me paste that in. So first of all, this is for the performance task. I'm going to put it in the chat. You should write it down so you have it handy. Remember, you need your SSID and this test session for today. Most of you are doing this one. Those of you who are still doing the one from yesterday, when you finish, you're still going to need this other one. Okay. So the 5 of you who are still testing from yesterday, so the 5 kids still finishing, and don't feel bad about still finishing. I always say the kids who take longer on the test always do better. So taking your time on the test is a good idea. I mean, personally, I couldn't sit down and finish that test in an hour. It's way too long. You're going to need that session ID. If you lose them, remember that they're on this document, so you can go back and forth, and you can also text me. Let's go back to the calendar and see anything else you guys need to do today. So we talked about health. We talked about language arts. You got to do that lesson, the one lesson, and the graphic organizer. Need to be working on your essay. Kids who are not testing, kids who are testing, you're going to be working on the new essay. Remember, I suggested you go in, you start the test. When you get to the essay prompt, write it down and get off the test for this morning and think about it. Do the work in your head. Don't write the whole essay in one session. If you do, you're still writing the essay for the mod. And then anything else? Math. Oh, in math, let's take a look at math. We didn't even look at that. Why is the math not on there? Oh, there it is, 1303. So it's just the quiz from yesterday. All right, that's it. And then this afternoon, I'll do lesson 1 in health. It's on hormones. Woo! And if you don't want to come to the lesson, you might want to click on this Growing Up newsletter and read about it. Super embarrassing. Warning, it has pictures. They're just drawings of naked people. When I grew up, we had National Geographic magazine, and it was full of naked people. And in Europe, when I taught in Italy, they have all these museums. And what are the museums full of? Tons of pictures of naked people, right? And so that's considered art in the museums. There's millions of pictures of naked people. So in Europe, people don't think nudity is really a very big deal. In fact, you often see, like in the parks in Germany, people are sitting around topless all the time. In the beaches of France, people sit around topless. Big, old, fat, ugly German women walk around naked in the parks. In Europe, nudity is not a very big deal. So please be mature about the health lesson. It's just learning about our bodies. We all have bodies. Guess what? Under our clothes, we're all naked. Anyway, that's this afternoon at 2. Don't be afraid to come to class though right away, even if you don't want to see the health lesson, because when it starts, you can always leave and you can ask me questions or listen to other people's questions. Nora, go ahead.
When do we take the test?
Yes, 10 o'clock, and then
Okay.
again at 12:20. So log onto the secure browser at 10 o'clock. So from now until 10, you can do your homework. Okay, Lauren, go ahead.
Are the passwords the same for the 10 o'clock session and the 12:20 session?
Well, they are, but they're different based on which test.
Yeah, one of them is language arts and one of them is math.
So the CAT test that you're finishing from yesterday, you only have like 2 to finish, Lauren. You're almost.
Yeah, and then CAT is.
And then
math.
after you do that one, the CAT one, then you're going to log out and log back into the
at 12:20.
Yeah, no, you can do it at the same session. Like if you finish your test in 5 minutes, you can log out and log back into the other test.
Then I'll probably do that.
Yeah, so that you can just take time.
Yeah, I'll just go over it a lot.
Yeah, okay. Mila, question? Go ahead.
I put a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Let me look in the chat. Do we have to get also? Yeah, I don't know which ones you're referring to. Obviously you don't always have to do everything, but the more you do, the better it looks. I would say during state testing, put your energy into state testing. And if you feel you don't have the bandwidth, does that make sense? The energy to also do the other stuff, just send me a private message, because I want you putting your best effort into the state test. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. If you say to me, Ms. Laws, I worked on this essay for like 6 hours today, I'm going to say, don't do anything else. And I have had kids obsess. I had this one girl, she spent like 30 hours on her essay. She was a really good writer. I do find that the stronger writers can spend more time on things like this. Like, you're not publishing a book, guys. Don't put so much time and effort into it that it's publishable, because here's the really sad thing. I don't ever get to see or read your essays. So it's sad for me, because sometimes I think kids do their best work on this and they never get it back. Make a copy of it. Yes, Amadi, question?
6 hours over the four sessions, or 6 hours in one session?
Not in one session. I'm only going to leave it on for an hour. So over the 4 sessions. But what I'm saying is that with writing, when you're not on the test, can you still be thinking about what you're writing? Yeah, right? You can be writing in the air. You could be drawing a story map. All of that you can do without the test being there once you know your prompt. Be very careful. I would read my prompt like 5 times, because make sure you know what you're writing about. It could be very embarrassing to write a whole essay and not know what it's about, right? Okay, Nora, go ahead.
Do we have to use the same SSID as yesterday?
Yes, it is your SSID. You will use it for every test.
Okay, got it. And can we have, like, in math, can we have like a piece of paper while?
Yeah. You can use paper. You just can't show it to your friend who's taking the same test. Okay. So let me see if I have anything else that I needed to talk about. So my non-testers, you're continuing. I'm now going to show you the little video on Erin's Law, but Christian, I need you to stay with me. Can you do that at the end so that I can help you? I can help talk about, I'll give you your SSID, Christian, and talk to you about the test, but please stay at the end, okay? So I'm going to share my screen and talk to you a little bit about the Erin's Law lesson. You have already had this lesson. You had it last year. You're going to watch a video where Maya experiences an invasion of privacy and an unsafe touch from a peer, a student her own age. Maya struggles to talk about what happens because she feels it was partly her fault. We have to remember that flirting is not permission to touch. It doesn't matter what we wear or how we act. It doesn't matter if it was a friend and they claim they were joking. No one has the right to invade our personal space. Just as no one can invade our personal space without permission, we also do not have the right to touch others without their permission. When I grew up, it was quite common for kids at school to slap each other on the bottom, believe it or not. That is not okay now, not a joke. Football players used to do it too. do it.
Hi,
Sonia.
I'm Maya. A couple weeks ago, someone I knew touched me on a private part of my body. It was hard to talk about what happened, but this is something none of us should ever keep secret. My friend Jess had a pool party and invited everyone from our class. Jess's parents were inside, and her older brother Roger was watching the party. I'd seen Roger around, and I thought he was pretty cool. I went into Jess's room to change, and then I got undressed. I heard a noise and turned, and Roger was in the room with me. He saw me changing. I was so embarrassed, but he tried to play it off like nothing had happened. He said he'd noticed me checking him out and that we should get to know each other. He started to touch me, and I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I'd thought Roger was a nice guy, but anybody that invades your privacy or tries to touch your private parts is a creep. Touching like that is not okay. You have to tell them no and get away. I took his hand away and said, "Don't touch me." He got mad and told me not to tell anyone about what happened. If I did, he said he'd tell everyone I was flirting with him. It felt gross to keep what Roger did a secret, but I didn't want people to think bad things about me. Girls and boys in our grade hang out together more, but there are boundaries for touching. So why did I feel like I'd done something wrong? Was it my fault for wearing a bathing suit? I felt confused and alone. I couldn't even talk to Jess, but I knew I had to tell someone. So I told my mom. I was nervous. What if she didn't believe me or freaked out? But that didn't happen. She listened and took what happened seriously. I was just glad to finally talk about it.
I'm sorry this happened, Maya, but you did the right thing. Touching someone on private parts of their body is abuse.
I kept thinking that it was my fault that Roger touched me. But even if someone thinks you're flirting with them, it doesn't give them permission to touch you.
That's right. It's never your fault if someone tries to touch you, no matter what you're wearing. If this does happen, you have to tell an adult you trust. I'm glad you remembered the rules, Maya, and knew how to protect yourself.
Thanks, Miss Barbara.
Okay. So again, the big thing here is that you gotta tell. You might think it's your fault. The person might threaten you and tell you they're gonna do something or something will happen. You might be worried about getting somebody in trouble. You might be worried your friends won't believe you. But unless you tell someone, it could happen again and it could get worse because most people who victimize other people count on their silence. You gotta tell. Everyone experiences their share of awkward social moments. It can be hard to know if we're coming on too strong or being overbearing or just having fun. But whenever we make someone feel uncomfortable, you need to speak up. Or if someone says to you, look, you're making me uncomfortable, you're being too physical, then we need to apologize and say, I'm sorry, I should have asked. You want to wrestle or whatever, you should ask. When does flirting or playful touching become an invasion of personal space? When you don't want it to happen, when it makes you feel weird. Any unsafe touch is any touch to a private body part. Unsafe touches are against the law. Minors can never give permission for others to touch them in private areas, even to people their own age. How can we use the protect yourself rules to protect or react to unsafe touches? If someone makes you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, the first thing you should do is tell them clearly to stop. But sometimes that's really hard. Like she said, she just freaked out and couldn't say anything. Make them understand they are crossing the line. No, walk away, run away, get away. Pretend you're alone with someone and they're uncomfortably close to you, even touching you without permission. You've told them to stop, but they aren't taking you seriously. Think ahead of time about what are some ways to get away. What are some ways that Maya could have dealt with Roger in the video? She could have pushed him. She could have shouted. Touching someone without permission or touching them on a private body part is a serious crime with real consequences. If you're telling someone to stop and they are not stopping, make sure they, making them understand that they're committing a crime will make them listen. So say, this is not okay, I'm going to tell, is a good way to get them to stop. Okay. When we're talking about these issues, if it comes up for you personally, something that you do want to tell someone about, you have your parents at home. If you don't feel comfortable telling your parents, you can send an email to either me or Ms. Clark. And we are happy to listen or to get you someone who you would prefer to tell to listen. So just so you know, that's set up for you. You can send me a private email. You can send Ms. Clark an email. It's CLARKE, I think. Shawnee Clark.